So I'm currently in one of the spawn zones on Core Journey. This last week has been an interesting time on Core Journey, and a lot has been rapidly changing. Firstly, Alrera dropped an update to the core, changing the max zone gameplay to try to create a higher incentive for players to travel to the core. Secondly, I will be visiting one of Pest Control's bases, formerly known as Slime Haven, which has had a lot of interest in this recently, and I will travel there and show you why. So I'm currently travelling through the Nether to get to Slime Haven, and once I arrive at this location, I'll explain to you all what has happened there and my reason to travel there. As you may know if you have been watching the story of Pest Control, Slime Haven acted as a more permanent base in comparison to our older previous bases, and was even visited by the server admin Alrera, so there is a lot of memories within this location. Okay, let's put a nether portal down here, see where we come out. This should be pretty close, so let's have a look. Okay, final touch. There we go. Let's see where we come out. Okay, that portal was made on this side, which is interesting. Okay, so let's find where our base is. Yep, I think the base is somewhere around here. So let me fill you in. About a week ago, Slime Haven, one of Pest Control's bases, coordinates got leaked, and there was a team that supposedly did a grief on it. So of course, Pest Control logged in to check it out when this happened, and to our surprise, none of the valuables had gone missing from the base. So obviously we picked everything up and we went. But I haven't been back to the base since, so it'll be interesting to see if we've had any other visitors or anyone else has shown up. Okay, here we go. So this is the hub. You've probably seen photos of this before, and in fact one of the members of Pest Control, Fabian, has a video on his YouTube channel which I'll link down below, showcasing how this base looked in its heyday. This is the villager hall, so we had villagers that sold a variety of books and other trades within there. This is where we had the brewing station, but it's all been cleaned out and that was mostly by us. Hollyhan here, he had a piston door, which has been somewhat griefed, but even some of the redstone survived, so it's still recognisable of what it was, and all his chests have too been looted and cleaned out, but that again was by us. So let's continue, let's see if anything else has changed. So as you can see, we now have an open plan theme. This wasn't always the case, and this is where we had all our storage chests, and they too were blown up. But again, they were only full of building blocks such as wood or dirt or stone, so it's no major loss there. This is Bearskate's garden, and this was completely untouched, so he visited this earlier this week, and I'll show you a picture of how it looked before, and he took it upon himself to grief it and blew it up. And the same happened down here. He was building another house underground, and that too was untouched, so he went ahead and griefed that himself. Then down here on the left we have one of Kistaf's mob farms and N4's, and I'll be honest, I still don't really know how to get to N4's mob farm from here, but these were completely untouched and they still worked, and the villagers were even survived. It's crazy. I mean, there were shulkers full of elytra, diamonds, armour, god swords, everything, and nothing was taken. I can't help but feel whoever was griefing this base was worried that we could log in at any second, so they had to do it as quickly as possible. So in reality, the base wasn't truly griefed, and we didn't suffer any losses from this other than the fact that the coordinates were leaked, meaning we had to leave. But I'll be honest with you guys, this base was getting way too big and it kept expanding to the point where we had too many entities in here and they were sort of bugging and not working how intended. So we kind of knew that we had to leave, and we had made plans, and as I said, this is one of our many bases anyway. So this is the kitchen, which is pretty much untouched. I'll have a slice of cake. And this was the original meeting room. And down here, this is what got the worst grief. This was the corridor, and over here we have Werno's bar, and that's completely blown up. But only the one floor, because up there we have Matty and Fabian's room, and they still operate pretty nicely. But if we keep going down, we had Nikachu when he was in Pest Control. He had an underwater section, and that's now kinda gone, but you can still see where it was. We have Stufflad's room and Kistaf's room on the left there. And down here was the main and final meeting room that we had, and this too was blown up, but a lot of the lava was there from us, as that was within the walls, and the only flag that remains is the Swedish flag. We also have the underground meeting room, which is still very recognisable. Now up here we had one of our skeleton farms, and I am pretty confident when we were here before this was completely untouched. I don't know if they didn't find it or just were in such a rush they didn't want to risk it. There we had an enchantment table, and we obviously took that. And this is where the skeletons came down. We had all our books, everything, all the valuables in here, absolutely unlooted, so we could just come back, fill a few shulkers and dip. Now if we keep going back to the hub, and we can keep going down here, this is where we had the sheep. They've all been killed unfortunately, but it doesn't matter too much. But then here we have the main part of the base. We have old Nick's office and Gendy's room, and I don't know whether to take this as a somewhat insult, but my office was completely ungriefed. Even my fish tank survived. I don't know if they saw this and thought it's not even worth griefing, it's that bad, but it's completely untouched, like most of the base. But everything, even to the beds, is exactly how I left it. And if we keep going out here, we can see Gendy's room, and we'll see how that fared to this so-called grief. Now Gendy's room is a bit more grand than my office. Gotta be careful of these holes in the glass here. But this here still looks how it was. He had a polar bear in here, so I'm guessing he made the big hole in the wall there so he could free his polar bear. But this again, you can tell exactly what it was and what it was meant for. And through here, as you may have seen photos from before, we have a boat racing track, and this still operates today. Even the redstone in the start line, which plays a tune with the note block, still operates. I'm just looking for a boat, see if I can have a little test lap, but I don't think we have any. Maybe the griefers stole all the boats. That was their final act of defiance. Now this grief, if you can call it a grief really, is what I would describe it more so is just our base was found and the coordinates were leaked, which did mean we had to leave. But in reality, we didn't lose anything because we came back and we were able to gather up all the resources from this base and be able to move on to our next base or go back to some of our other bases. However, whenever any player builds a base on Core Journey, you've got to expect it to be eventually found and either destroyed or looted. So no great loss here. So yet again I am travelling through the nether, but this time I'm going to the core. Last time I travelled here, the core had been fully submerged within water. Now this was to prevent future griefs being done. However, I guess the harder you make a task, some players will see this as a challenge, and I will show you what I mean once we arrive. You can never be too careful on Core Journey, so I am going to use a portal which is not directly at the core and travel the last distance in the overworld. Okay, starting to see this now. It really is starting to look more and more like a war zone here. Firstly, you may notice there is no more water or lava casts. Now this is due to Alrira implementing an update where each core drop will cause the cobblestone within the core to be removed, and when this first happened, the water was also removed. Evidence of past lava casts can be seen by the stone left floating. Now how has this changed the way Core Journey is played? Well, right now we don't know, but what I can say is building at the core now seems a lot more worthwhile. That's as long as you don't choose to construct a cobblestone house. Also, you can see the core tower is completely gone. Now this was destroyed by a player who block for block mined the obsidian tower away whilst underwater. I can't help but think, however, the whole point of a grief is the destruction process is quicker than the build, but in this case this is not true. With this tower gone, the core is yet again a blank canvas ready for future builds. Core Journey is changing, but this is not necessarily a bad thing. It just means players will have to adapt, and the groups who can adapt to the changes the quickest will be the ones who dominate. However, the question is always who will this be and what will they use this power for? As always guys, stay safe.